Thanks so much for watching this video. I have a really amazing insider tip and trick that I had used to grow a very large scale nutritional supplement and skincare business. And it's not probably what you think. It's not a Facebook ad tactic. It's not a landing page secret. It's not a conversion tool. It's kind of on the more boring side of business, but it's the part of the business that people don't really think about. And I'm going to hop into that in a second. But first, let me tell you who I am and why I'm even doing this. My name's David. I had been working for an internet marketer for quite a while, several years actually. I was out in Texas and started scaling businesses for him and learned how to be a media buyer, and things were going really well until one day I was left with a decision to figure things out on my own. They moved the company out to Pennsylvania. My position was no longer available at the company, so I was left to figure out, do I do my own thing or do I go get a job? And I did my own thing for a little bit, and I was just kind of brokering items and traffic, and it was scalable, but I really wasn't creating anything, and it wasn't mine. I don't know if anybody's run into that before, of wanting something to be yours, wanting to make an impact. And I was hit with a question one day from a internet marketer that I was buying software from at the time. And he said, hey, if you really want to make a go at this internet thing, if you want to make money with it, you really need to sell your own products, your own physical goods, and this is the way to do it. And so he walked me through step by step how he had done it for the last, it was over 8 years at that point. So he's been doing it for over 10 years now. He's done hundreds of millions of dollars online, and he started to mentor me. And he was an interesting kind of mentor because he didn't give me everything. He just gave me enough to be intrigued, and then he would give me a task to go figure things out. So there were several times where I'm like, what the heck? But I want to figure this out. I want to do thousands of dollars in sales a day. And he kind of left it a little bit open-ended. But one of the main things he said is going to be the most difficult part of the business is getting payment processing. And I thought, I don't need that much payment processing. I only want to do a certain amount a month. And he's like, well, each merchant processor is going to allow you to process $50,000 a month. And I was like, that's more money than I've ever heard of in my life. Like, there's no way I'm going to need more than $50,000 in processing a month. And he just laughed at me and looked at me and just said, yeah, you're going to need at least 10 times that just to get started. So go out and get merchant processing. Here's some steps on how to do it. And he laid down a groundwork that I would go on to follow. And instead of getting, $50,000 a month or $500,000 a month in payment processing, I ended up getting $1.75 million a month in payment processing and started to run my business with that. I didn't get it all at once, but I did along the way. And there was one really important technique and strategy that I used to do that, that protected me, and it protected the people around me. So that's what I want to share with you today. It's really a 3-step process in how I got payment processing. And it's really important that you understand how powerful processing is for your business. So a lot of you guys are probably using Stripe right now, or you're using PayPal, or maybe you're using Braintree, or maybe even Shopify's processing. There's several out there, but there are very few that you can rely on for the long run. So I think a year ago, Stripe started shutting down merchant accounts just en masse. I had a friend of mine come to me and say, hey, I had 20 merchant accounts shut down. I just lost $200,000 a month in payment processing. Can you help me? So he came to me and he rented mids from me. And if you don't know what the term mid is, I'll cover that in a little bit. But he started renting processing from me. And I was charging him a premium for it. And then he said, you know what, just teach me how to do what you did. And so I started teaching him. He was like, okay, that's a little overwhelming. Can you just do it for me? So he started paying me about $2,000 per hour of my time to do this stuff for him. And I'm obviously not charging you that much for this. But I want you to be able to take these tactics and run with them. So let me go through the first step that I did, and it's actually the most basic thing that you should do if you're running an internet business. Now, let me say who I'm not talking to here. The people I'm not talking to are those who just want to create an offer, generate a bunch of cash, shut it down, and move on to the next thing. Okay, that's not what this is for. So if that's you, you can go ahead and click off of this right now and go figure out something else. Go scam Stripe or PayPal or whomever and grow your business that way. Grow your offers that way. This is for scaling a business. All right, so I just want to be really clear. This is for the people who want to be around for a while. They want to build a sustainable, stable, long-term business. All right, so step one, you got to create an LLC. All right, now it's really important where you create the LLC. And that's like one of the super secret strategies that I learned from a friend of mine who's done hundreds of millions of dollars in real estate, in commercial real estate, and he wants complete anonymity. Now, if you don't know why you want anonymity, it could be fairly obvious for some, but not for others. If you're looking for a way to protect yourself and protect your assets, grow a business very large, and if anybody ever comes after you to sue you or take you to court or whatever, that your assets can't be touched. All right, so that's why people create LLCs. Now, you really have to make sure you create them in the right place. All right, there are some states, most states will, when you create an LLC, they make it public, and you actually have to put it out in the newspaper, or you have to post it through a press release that this business has started, this is what's happening, and your name is out there with the LLC saying this business has just been created. Now, there's some states that don't do that, and they're very friendly for real estate and for people who want to hide different assets to protect them. All right, not because you're doing anything shady, but you just want to be protected at the end of the day. So the state that I did 8 LLCs in is Delaware, and it's not as expensive as you think. It's actually pretty amazing how fast it can be too. It doesn't take weeks. It could take maybe 4 or 5 days total before you get your LLC done and created. And there's a few tips and tricks in how to do that specifically and how to get the right one done that I probably won't share on this, but I will share it another time. So Delaware is the first step. Get your LLC created. You got that? Create LLC in Delaware. Okay. Step 2. You need to really think through how much processing that you want. Now, if you have a trials business, you're going to run into rebills, and rebills are really like the bedrock of your business. If you have a really good offer and it is, let's say you're adding, 1,000 new subscribers onto your service a month, and maybe let's say 60 to 70% of those stick for the next month. You're not only adding 1,000 that next month, you have another 600 on top of the 1,000 billing. And then take it the next month. Let's say 50% of those guys stay on. So, and you're still adding 1,000 a month. Now you have 1,900. Maybe you continue to do that and it continues to stack and stack and stack. So when your rebills start stacking, you will run into problems with your merchant account processing, especially because of something called chargebacks. And a lot of you guys probably know what those are. Chargebacks are the devil. They are the enemy of your business, and they rear their heads up when an offer is not being super compliant, or the customer starts to feel abandoned, or maybe they don't know why they purchased what they purchased, or they were scammed into something. The terms and conditions weren't clearly stated that it was going to be a rebill process. This happens in the trials business. That's where I was, where we were running free trial, just pay $4.95 for shipping. And then if you like the product, don't do anything, and you will get rebilled for the price of your trial package, and then ongoing from there. All right. That's how the business worked. And that's why it was a little bit volatile. So when you are creating this merchant processing machine that I'm teaching you here, you have to keep in mind how much processing that you want to do. and do the math to figure out how many sales you can do on a daily basis. And I'll include a calculator and a spreadsheet that I used to calculate this. On average, you'd want to do about 50 to 100 sales per day. And that's if you have at least 5 merchant accounts of 50,000 a piece per month. All right, you got that? I'll put that in a sheet for you. So step number 1 was get your LLC created. Step number 2 is figure out how many merchant accounts that you want and how much are you going to scale this business? How big is it going to get? All right, those are 2 very, very important things, because without understanding how many merchant accounts you want, you're not going to know really how many LLCs you need to have created. So that's, again, make sure you figure that piece out. For me, I wanted to do at least $2 million a year and scale it to 10. So I had to figure out I want X amount of merchant processing accounts and back out the math that way. And at the end of the day, just because you have $50,000 a month in merchant processing doesn't mean you can process $50,000 a month in merchant processing. Okay? Let me repeat that. Just because you have $50,000 in merchant processing for one of your merchant accounts does not mean that you can process the full amount. You usually want to process about 50 to 60% of it and leave the rest open, because you want your chargebacks to be low. So here's a secret of the trade. You want to process essentially, again, 50% of the merchant account. Write that down, 50%. It's super important, all right? Because if you start processing more, your chargebacks are going to stack up on that merchant account, and you want to protect it, because merchant accounts are not easy to come by. We had one guy paying me $2,000 per merchant account I got for him, plus a processing fee on top of that for all the transactions. It's not cheap. All right. So that's one of the secrets that I will give away on this. The other one is, how do you get multiple LLCs created? Because when you get merchant accounts, they are under your LLC EIN number, and they're also under your personal Social Security number. It's just like applying for credit. These credit card processing companies, they are feisty, all right? And they have teeth in their contracts, so you have to be super careful that you pay your dues, that you don't let the things go with too many chargebacks. You will get shut down, and they will come after you for lots of money. So how do you get, this is step 3, is get multiple LLCs. And how do you do that? Getting multiple LLCs is as simple as recruiting a couple of friends. I actually ended up doing this through some ads, local advertising, where I got people to be essentially franchise owners of my company. And we created LLCs in their name through Delaware. They signed the LLC over to me, and I was able to get merchant processing through those people under their Social Security numbers, under the LLC's EIN number. Now, today's rules have changed a little bit. You can't do 100%. You can't have it 100% signed over when you create an LLC. So if you have a partner, they have to be at least 25% owner for you to get merchant processing under that company. All right. So if I have LLC, if I had David's LLC, that would be mine. I could have my own merchant processing under my own name. All right. That's David's LLC. Now, if I want to get more payment processing, there's only a certain amount of processing you can get per LLC. I would create a second LLC. This is going to allow me to scale my business. Create a second LLC. So maybe I have my wife create one, or I have my brother, or I have a friend, whatever, create an LLC. I pay for the whole thing. They sign it over to me, 75% of it. And this is done in an operating agreement, and I will attach the operating agreements that I used, and you can just put in your LLC name, put in the dates, put in the addresses that you need. But these are fully operational operating agreements that you can use. All right. If you have an attorney, then I would have them look them over, but it's what I used, and it's how you can get bank accounts, how you can get multiple merchant accounts. So you have the operating agreement signed over to you for at least 75% of the business, and then you can use that operating agreement to show your ownership when you are going out to get bank accounts. Now, this is really, really, really important. When you get merchant accounts, I feel like I am giving away like a crazy amount of value here with this one thing. There are companies out there, I'm going to back up for a second. There are companies out there that will charge, they'll get you signers. These are called signers. They'll get you signers and they will charge you like 5% of your gross monthly processing just for getting you the signers. It's ridiculous. So what I want to give you is a way to create all of this on your own and not have to pay somebody like that, because it's ridiculous. I mean, that 5% can mean a ton for your business, especially if you're paying affiliates too. All right. I hope you're tracking with me. If you're not, let me know. Ask me questions. That's totally cool. You can post them below this, or you can shoot me an email, and I'll have that listed below as well. So here's why you need to have that operating agreement signed over to you. When you go to get a bank account, you will have to show ownership on that LLC. Now, merchant processing companies do not want to give processing over a certain amount to one social security number. They'll limit you. You can only get, I think it was like 350,000, maybe 400,000 a month in processing. Again, do the math on that. You only want to use about 50% of that total, so that's only 200,000 a month in processing. And that may seem like a lot of money, but when you're scaling offers that are just ripping and doing super well, you will not have enough. You have to get more processing if you want to keep growing. All right? Especially if you have a winner product and people love it, they want to keep rebilling on it, you have to have room for those rebills to keep hitting your merchant accounts. Okay. You want to keep processing. So you want to go get a bank account and control that bank account. If your signer has to get the bank account for you, and you are so lucky that I'm giving you this right now, because it is worth a ton of money. If you do not control the bank account, you are reliant upon your signer to send you money. All right? As a business owner, you want the control. You want your accounting to have the control, or your CFO or whomever you're using to manage the bank accounts. You want them to have control over the money, not your signers. Imagine having 10 different signers out there, or 15 different signers, and you're having to wait on deposits and wire transfers from these people every single day, because that's how fast the money moves in businesses like this. Nope. You do not want that. So you want to have an operating agreement that shows that you are 75% owner of the company, have them sign it, have it notarized, and then you bring that operating agreement into the bank to get a bank account for your company. Does that make sense? You are an authorized owner on that operating agreement, so you can get a bank account. Now, there's nothing illegal about this. This isn't shady. This happens all the time, where people create LLCs and they sign them over to somebody else. So we are leveraging that ability from Delaware to do that, because once the operating agreement's signed over, it does not have to be made public whose name is on the LLC. All right? So think about it from this perspective in terms of like really protecting yourself. When you max out how many merchant accounts you can get, and you want to scale, so you want to create another LLC, and you use somebody else to do that. When they initially sign up for the LLC, they're going to provide their social, they're going to get an EIN number. It's only going to be them on that LLC. I don't want you guys to get confused. It's only that one person. Let's say it's Sally. Only Sally's name is going to be on that LLC. So when you go to get merchant processing, it's Sally going to get merchant processing under the new LLC, Sally's LLC. Okay? In the background, you are getting Sally to sign over the LLC to you. And again, this is as a franchise in a way. A percentage of it, you will pay Sally out. I used to pay out 3%. It's essentially up to $1,000 a month in payment processing. I paid that out to my signers because they are taking a risk in getting merchant processing, and I want to make sure they're taken care of. So it's a super cool way to help take care of people that are friends and family and that don't necessarily know how to start their own businesses. You can do this to help them, which I did, and it was awesome. Now, one thing to think about, as you start involving other people, you can only use this for good, because if you screw those people over, their names and their social security numbers, like, they will get blacklisted from payment processing. And if they ever wanted to create an e-commerce business in the future, they would not be able to get payment processing. All right. So make sure you run a legitimate business when you do this. Like, run it clean. Make sure you notify, especially if you're doing something with subscription, make sure you're notifying your customers that they're going to be rebilled, that they're on a subscription, and remind them of what they're getting. Provide tons of value. Because, again, if you're somebody who just wants to get an offer up, make a ton of money, and run away, this is not for you. All right? This is something to have a long-term sustainable business. Do it right. Do it with a good conscience. So I'm going to walk through what I just told you to do. Create an LLC. Figure out how much payment processing that you are going to need. And I recommend that you have at least $250,000 a month in payment processing to get started when you're launching your business. All right, especially if it's on a continuity basis, meaning you're having a subscription. 3, get your LLC signed over if you have somebody else starting that LLC, which I would recommend having at least 2 or 3 LLCs started right away, so you can start the process of getting payment processing. It can take a while. It can take up to a week, sometimes 2 weeks. There's quite a bit more that goes into it and how you really get it done. And I won't go into that now, but in terms of the technique that will protect you and give you the foundation that you can go out and get payment processing, this is it. Get your LLC created in Delaware. If you have a signer do it for you, you have it done. Get the LLC created, have them sign over the LLC for a certain percentage, and then you get to go get bank accounts in that LLC's name, and you can manage the cash flow from there. I did it all under one bank, so I was able to just log into one bank account, like a master account, and transfer money between the accounts, and it helped so much when I was doing all the accounting at the end of the year, and when I was paying vendors on a weekly basis. There is so much I can go into here that will save you an incredible amount of time. But for now, this is the product that I'm giving you. How to go get more merchant accounts, how to do it in a way that you're protected in. And I will leave you with this as well as an added bonus here. One mistake that I made back when I ran these businesses, I did not read through the contracts thoroughly when I was getting affiliates and going out to large affiliate networks to position my offer. They put my name in to the contracts as a guarantor. Do not ever sign a contract with a vendor like that with a personal guarantee. And if they say that they won't do business with you, then go find somebody else who will. Do not ever sign as a personal guarantor. That mistake cost me $500,000 last year, and I had to file bankruptcy because of it. All right? So one massive tip that I will give you is look through. It's usually right above the signature box on the contract. They might send you a 15-page contract in super fine print. Look for, and if it's in a PDF, just hit Command F and find it, or search for keywords in that document for personal guarantee or guarantor. If you're a personal guarantor on there, redline that sucker out and get it out of the contract, or find a new company to sign with. All right? So I just told you a few amazing things that'll help you scale your business. It'll help you grow something for the long term and stay protected, because the more merchant processing you have, the more stable your company is. And I'm not talking about having all your merchant processing under one bucket. You have to spread it out, because chargebacks are going to come. And the way Visa and MasterCard are going, it's only a matter of time before the regulations get even more insane and tight. So you want to be able to run your business in a way that if a merchant account gets shut down, you can stay up and going. All right. So I just gave you the ins and outs of how to create a huge, massive processing company. If you have questions on this, you can reach out to the email below. I'm completely out of the trials business altogether because of the type of traffic that I was in and getting before from affiliate accounts. If you want, I probably won't even, nope, not going to offer consulting help on that stuff. There is so much. But for now, this is what I've given you is scaling LLCs, scaling merchant processing, and how to protect yourself when you're looking through contracts. Again, save yourself from a $500,000 mistake. Make sure you never sign as a personal guarantor, and get your processing set up through multiple LLCs. Balance that sucker out so you are safe and protected. And if you want other resources like the top merchant accounts that I would recommend getting for different business niches, you can send me an email and request those. If you are looking for the agreement, the operating agreement that I used, and all the resources that you're going to need to get merchant processing, just shoot me an email. And there's only about 5 people that I can handle at a time to really help do this thing right. So if you want me to help you with that, you can shoot me an email and let me know why you think you're qualified for that. I really just need to know, like, are you somebody who's serious about building a long-term sustainable business, or if you're just out to do a cash grab and hop out of the business altogether. So the biggest deal to me is that you're providing value. Anyways, you'll get my series of questions in that email, but really, I do want to help people do this. I just want to make sure they're the right kind of people in the right kind of businesses. So that is all I got for you. I hope you found a ton of value in this. If you do implement those 3 simple things that I gave you, you're going to do super well, especially if you have a great product and you have a great back end of the business and you're providing value. This is just a tactic and a technique to help you be sustainable, to be secure, to be stable, even when merchant accounts and credit card processing are changing their standards all the time. So this really, really, really will help you. I hope you love it. If you do, send me an email. Let me know. I'd love to hear from you. Again, thank you so much for watching this, and have an awesome day. Go crush it. Go crush it. Go crush it.